What's happening, man? What's going on? Mr. Cannon Johnson. How you been doing, buddy? You had a good day?
What's up, dude? It's been all right.
Well, everybody, welcome back to My Fence Life with Dan and Cannon Johnson, Jackson Fence, Medina, Tennessee, and Dan Blanc, Fence King, Mandeville, Louisiana. Y'all make sure you go and like our Facebook page, My Fence Life. You got questions, you want to be on the show, you got something you want to hear us talk about, go to myfencelife.com. And we got YouTube channel if you want to watch us after the show's over and catch it. Or you can hit us up on our podcast, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, all that good stuff. My Fence Life everywhere. So, who we got tonight, Cannon? What's going on?
Dan, we have the pleasure of having with us a guy that I love watching on Facebook. He's very interactive. He's become a little influencer. And he is so, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess transparent. He's so like, hey, I'm willing to show you what's going on in my life. His name is David Gatto. A lot of you guys know exactly who he is. And he's doing some tremendous things. He was just featured, Dan, 2 weeks ago in the Fence News magazine. Had his whole write-up
last week.
So yeah, man. So tonight we got David Gatto, and I'm freaking excited about that. I did get asked today to talk about. I want to give a quick shout out, Dan, if that's okay. My buddy Chris Steele down in Pace, Florida, is having this open house. Every year he does a crawfish boil. Dan, you and I got to go last year. Let me see what the dates are. It's April the 23rd, Pace, Florida. If you're in that area or just want to get away, April the 23rd, Pace, Florida. Last year we had quite a bit of a rainfall during that event. But man, I've never had so much crawfish in my life.
I remember, man. Dylan and I were there. We had a great time. Talked to Chris about that today. I was trying to figure out, do we have some fence guys going out there? Are they going to be there? I'll definitely go if we're going to have some networking.
Yeah,
I'd like to check it out and see some people, man. You know.
So Dan, we've already got a few people here with us. We got your boy Terry the bowler.
Yeah, Terry, guy works for me.
Mm-hmm.
We got Sean King. We got my son Dylan. Oh, Jeff Gephardt's in here. Justin Neri. But look, man, let's get to David, man. He's got a bunch of kids, and I'm sure he wants to get back to them. Let's get him on this thing, man. I'm excited to hear what he's got to say and hear his story.
Yeah.
So, no further ado, David Gatto. What's going on, David?
Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, no problem, man. No problem.
David, look, if I don't say anything else, I just want to chime in real fast. I feel like my signal's not great. How do you guys perceive me right now? Am I coming through okay? I'm curious.
You sound great.
We're good.
Bad.
I look bad, sound great. I'll take that. But before I drop off and I can't say anything, David, I love your freaking headset, dude. I'm so excited. Like, that is a sign of a guy who takes this kind of stuff serious. And I appreciate that enthusiasm and passion. If nothing else,
I appreciate
that to come across.
Hey, David, I was telling Cannon when we decided we were going to have you on the show, I said, man, I've been knowing David about 2.5, 3 years. We met on Facebook. Probably one of us got in one of his inboxes. And that was back when you and I were still running around in our trucks, going to job sites. And I remember telling you, man, you gotta have people not calling your phone anymore. You got to get a VoIP. And you're like, what is that? You remember that? Now look at us, man.
I do.
We're using more software and apps to run our businesses, and we were excited about getting a VoIP through Verizon, man. It's incredible how far along you've came and I've came since we first met, you know. So
yeah, it's amazing.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself, Dave. You've been successful. You got a great business that you built up in 8 years or so. Give us a rundown how you started out, and maybe some advice to new guys coming up, some guys that are already in it, and some guys are where you are now.
I want to hear all, and I want to hear all the chapters, David. Don't hold back.
Yeah, and so my story is probably a lot like a lot of guys that are starting out, and it's probably different in some ways. But I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm just going to tell you guys like it is. This is my story. Basically, I was a homeless, hopeless drug addict living on the streets. I was literally living in a cemetery in the city of York after I was released from prison. I was sober at this time. I had a problem with drugs in the past, and so I just happened to run into this place called Life's Beacon Foundation in York, and so there was a gym that was on a loading dock. Now this loading dock is mine now, but so there was this gym that was out there with weights, and I walked up and approached the guy, and I said, "Hey, listen," I said, "is there a way that I could lift those weights in there that I can use your gym?" And me and him got to talking, and he said, where are you living at? And I said, "I'm living in the cemetery." And this guy, his name's Bob Allen, he gave me a room to stay in this place. It was called the Life Skills House. So where they taught guys like, how to be productive, how to live again. And so, I'm staying in this Life Skills House. I don't have a driver's license. I don't have money. I got a job at a tire factory called Credit Wheel and Tire out in York. And I'm telling you, every single morning I would run 5 miles to work. I would go to this job. I would sling tires all day and stack them on a trailer. So anyways, one day I'm getting ready for work, and I'm just, brushing my hair, getting ready to, jog out the door, go to work. And I get this idea to start my own business. It like came out of nowheres. And, the idea kept getting stronger and stronger. And I kept envisioning myself going out and starting this business. So one day after work, I went up into my room, which I'm in the Life Skills House. So it's a shared room in there. So I'm living in a room with another guy. And it's probably maybe like a 10 by 10 room. So it's very small. And he had a laptop in there and a printer. And I made this little Word document of all these things that I thought that I could do, like clean gutters, shovel snow, windows, whatever I thought that I could do. And so after work, I would take these papers with me with the list of skills the services that I thought that I could provide, and I would go and knock on people's doors. And I would just say, "Hey, my name's Dave." And the name Future Solutions just came out of nowhere. It's like I just made it up one day. And I ended up liking the sound of it, so I kept it. But I would knock on your door, Ken, and I would say, "Hey, this is Dave from Future Solutions. Just going around the neighborhood. I have a new business. I'm trying to start it up, get it going here. I'm offering deals. Here's a list of services that I know how to do. If there's anything that you like on this list, let me know, and I'll come and do it." And so I did this every single day after work until dark. And like I said, I got no truck, no license, so I'm on foot. And eventually, people started saying, yeah, how much to clean the gutters? How much to clean our windows? How much to mulch our yard? And so I would start coming back and doing these jobs on the weekend. And I'm telling you, I would literally be walking up the street with a shovel, a rake, and a pickaxe from the recovery house, the men's skills house, and having mulch delivered. Then I started getting other people from the recovery house to work with me. So this is going on. So I go to my job one day because now I got to.
I can't help but think. Give us a time frame. What year is this? You think?
This is the beginning of 2014.
2014. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Dave's only been in business 8 years, man. He's come a long way.
Well, 2014, he was walking up the road raking leaves and scattering mulch, right?
Yeah.
And driver's license. Now he's got a house with. He told me today. He goes, I'm in one of my rooms, one of my guest rooms. I'm like, how many rooms you got, Dave?
Yeah, we're living in our dream home, man, and I'm so thankful for that, from living on the streets and living in the cold and being hungry to having what I have now. So I'm forever thankful for that. So yeah, this is 2014. And so, I go to the tire shop one day and I tell my bosses like, "Hey, listen, I have to quit. This is my 2 weeks notice. I'm going to start my own business." And everybody in the room erupted in laughter, and they thought I was joking. And, then they found out I was serious. So Yeah, they were all laughing in there, and they said, "All right, we'll give you a raise." They said, "How does 20 cents sound?" And I said, "Thanks for the offer, guys, but I said I'm going to have to leave. I made my mind up." So I end up quitting, and now I'm out there every day. I get this job. I'm cutting bamboo down. I'm doing whatever I can out there. And one day I sold a fence, and I'd never did a fence before.
What kind of fence was it, David?
It was a vinyl fence. It was a 6-foot tall vinyl fence. And it was a pretty big job. I didn't really know how to bid it. I went out there and bid it. So now I'm watching YouTube videos on how to build the fence. And so I didn't know who to get fence off of. So I bought the fence off of Home Depot, and they delivered the fence there. And I figured, you know what? I got time to figure this out. I said, I can take my time. I can do this. I have no truck. And I show up there, and it's like a big family event for these people. So they got the whole family out there. They got their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, and all eyes are on me now, and they're asking me questions like, what's this? And I don't know. I got stuff falling out of their U-channel, and I don't even know what this stuff is. And it just so happens that this job was on top of a shale vein, and it was extraordinarily hard digging. And I'm telling you, my hands were bleeding, calluses, and all I kept thinking is, get this job done, and you'll be able to afford a pickup truck. Just get it done. Just get it done. And the job took me about a week and a half to do it, but I was able to buy my first truck, which was a multicolored a Chevy. It was a Chevy, like an S10 5-speed. I used to hide it from customers because it looked like it belonged in the junkyard, but it was a truck. So I said to myself, Dan, I said, there's money in this. I can do this. I can build these fences. I said, as long as I can keep a post level and keep it to a string line and make it look nice and even and grade it, I said, I can do this. And so I started doing more and more of it. I got guys to help me out. At the time I was just paying cash. I didn't know anything about business insurance, and I don't have any type of background education in business at all. So, I had to learn all that stuff. And, I got one crew, then I got 2 crews. Then I was able to buy a Groundhog HD99, which was my first machine. Before that, I was hand digging, rock barring. And then from the HD99, I was able to buy another truck. Then I got a second crew going. Then I got an MT50. And I got a third crew going. And the progression of going through here, I just started learning how to be a business owner instead of being out there in the field. Like, it all started coming together for me. And so just to give you guys a time frame, this went on from about 2014 to 2018. My office was, at this time I had moved out of the recovery house, and I had bought in a 1-bedroom apartment in the city, rented a 1-bedroom apartment in the city. So that was my office in there, and I had nowhere really to store my vehicles or equipment. So I'm kind of like storing them behind the apartment, some in the front of the place, taking up parking spaces. And so 2018, I start to realize something. I said, you know what? I said, I'm going about this wrong. I said, I'm only making so much money in fence installation. I said, there's got to be a different way to do this. So the owners of Life Speaking Foundation, like I said, there was this big warehouse there, 15,000 square foot warehouse, and there was 4 companies in this warehouse. And the guy said, you know what, Dave, you can park your vehicles behind this warehouse. They said, just don't block the garage for the tire shop. So they gave me a space to put my vehicles back there. They didn't charge me anything.
Wow.
So I had my vehicles back there. And then eventually one day they gave me this little shed. And they said, hey, Dave, you can use this shed to, like, whatever, put a couple tools in, put some, I was super thankful for that little shed, because now I had, I could put some saws in there. I can put some concrete in there and keep it dry. It was really, really small. And honestly, it was like a homeless shelter for animals in there. And it really stunk, but I was super grateful for it. So anyways, one day something happened. One day the guy at the company at the tire shop left, and there was 2 bays in there. There was a big gigantic compressor, and like maybe like some shelving or something like that in there. So I talked to the owner and I said, hey, how much would it cost to rent this? And they told me it was around $900 or $1,000. And at the time, I didn't have money like that. So that was a big risk. So this is the common theme in business, is you got to take the risks. So I took the risks and I said, you know what? I'm going to make this happen.
Man, I tell you what, all my growth has come out of risk. Like, I remember buying my first forklift, looking at Pepper going, I'm about to buy a forklift. I don't know if I should do this. I'm using my working capital. I bought the forklift, never looked back, And then it was, all right, we're getting a yard. This is scary. Got the yard. Then I needed a building. And every step was like, oh my God. So it just feels like out of that, I don't want to say fear, but out of that feeling that you have of, I can't believe I'm doing this, and just taking the leap and going, oh shit, just let it roll. Whatever happens. It seems like there's so much growth that comes out of it. I've seen it with Cannon, things that he's done, and I've definitely seen it with stuff you've done, Dave.
Yeah, and the whole time it's like that, and it's you got to take risks. It's like at the casino, if you're going in and you're betting pennies, you're only going to hit so big of a jackpot. But if you're betting everything and you do hit a jackpot, you're going to hit. And so I get this garage, and now I'm starting to say to myself, how I need this thing to pay for itself. How can I make money with this? How can I set this up so that I can make money? So then a couple things happen. Because I'm out doing the estimates, I'm out digging holes with these guys, I'm out putting fences with these guys, and there became a point where I had so many estimates that I couldn't work with them no more. And I was a micromanager. So if there was a technical job, I had to be out there. If there was a drastic slope, or it was a serious a custom capped fence, I needed to be out there. If it was a new piece of equipment, yes, yeah, I was a micromanager. And so, you know what? I had to say one day, I had to let go. I had to say, you know what? Let them go out there. Let them do whatever they're going to do. I got to trust in my guys. I got to empower them and let them figure it out. And so now I was able to do estimates full time out there, and I'm selling the jobs. I'm keeping the crews going. And then one day I said, you know what? I can't keep up with these estimates no more. And so I gave one of my guys a crash course on estimating. Like, I walked him around with the wheel and say, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do this. Don't put any gates on any slopes. Talk the customer out of it. If they insist on it, make them sign off. Make sure their trees are out of the way. There's no dog shit in the yard. And, he picked up really good. So now he's out selling. And then something happened one day. And I said, you know what? I said, I can really increase my profit if I can find somebody that will sell me fence at a wholesale price. And this was a big risk for me too, because, I had to pay $50,000 for a truck at the time. And that was everything I had. And
I remember that.
Yeah. And listen, it wasn't even my money.
Oh,
it
really?
it was my customers' deposits.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say that on here, but I put it all on the line. So I bought a truckload of lineals from an extruder. I had bought in a forklift, and then the coronavirus happened. And so I had all this money put into this stuff. It gets delivered, and literally 2 days later, I get a note on my door to shut down. And I'm like, oh my God. So now all that's going on. And I'm like, the customers are going to start asking for their money back, and I don't have their money. And so all this fear was kicking in. And I'm like, what did you do? And so this is when I got my first piece of software. Okay. This is when I said, I got to keep selling, but we're not allowed out of the house to sell. And I talked to Rachel Graham Krause from My Salesman.
Yeah.
And this is when I got to My Salesman. And so listen, My Salesman saved me at the time because I'm stuck in the house in the coronavirus. But I got to My Salesman now on my website, and people are calling me up, and I'm saying, okay, I'm sending them a link. I'm saying, here's how you do it. Draw your fence out. And it was super easy to set up. I'm like, draw your fence out. And I'm like, listen, this is going to give us a real good idea. We can go off this price, but I just want to let you know, if we come over there and you got like 10 tree stumps in the ground and we have to do excavate and there's something, the price might have to change. But I'm like, you can count on this price. So now I'm selling jobs through My Salesman through the coronavirus. And now I got to connect too with a wholesaler. So anyways, they let us go back to work. I implemented the My Salesman in there. And so I'm getting these blank posts, and I'm like, how the heck do I router these? I didn't know anything about a CNC machine. So we built these jigs out of used fencing that we had, like tear outs and wood, and we built these long tables, and I actually built this square on there where a router can go in and follow the square and cut out our cutout for our 2x7. And so we would slide the post on the table, and it would stop. This way it hit in the same spot 2 inches below the top for the drop on there. And then we had our jig. So it would go right underneath the jigs, and we had these 2 routers dangling from the ceiling, and we would literally punch a hole in it and go around it, and there we would be covered in shavings. So we're routing our posts like that. We're doing whatever we got to do. We're cutting lineals down, like we're learning. We're making all kinds of mistakes. Like we don't know. Like we're buying rails in 16-foot lengths and all our pickets in 16-foot lineals. And we're cutting this stuff down. And so we're just supplying our own teams out there with our stuff, and we're saving a lot of money now. So our profits are going up. So I find this CNC machine on actually my wife. My wife found it, and she said, look at this. And it was a table CNC for carving like signs, like wooden signs. So it was like a 6x8 metal frame. They actually put a picture of it in the Fence magazine, Fence News. But
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, so I buy this. I go over there, and the guy doesn't even know if this thing works. He's like, it was my dad's. My dad passed away. He's like, I don't know if it works, but he wants a lot of money for it. So a couple days go by, some negotiation goes by, and he sells it to me. Right, another risk that I took, and he has it delivered over to the warehouse, which at this point is just a garage, which is the tire shop. So we get this thing in there, we get it all set up, we got to level it out perfectly on the floor, and we don't even know how to turn it on. Honestly, there's a computer that gets attached to it somehow. We're figuring out all these wires, and then we get it all on, and it's the oldest system you've ever seen. Like, it was so old that there was nothing on YouTube to even tell us how to use it. Like, it's a green monitor and like DOS on there. And we're like, how do we move it? How do we use it? So I play around with this thing for days, right? And I find out about geometric code, what G code is. And it's an XYZ access. And so I started learning how to write programs in geometric code. So I had to set spindle speed, spindle direction, feed rate, how far down the router went, how far left, how far right, how far back, and at what speeds, and rapid movements, and all this stuff. So we're writing programs that take thousands of lines of code now in Word. And yeah, so we're strapping like 10 posts at a clip to this thing. And anyway, so this big process goes down, and we're learning how to use this machine. We're getting it down. We made a lot of mistakes, and eventually this thing starts making us money. Because now it's route and tempos to the clip. It's not the best. Sometimes they're off a little bit. Sometimes they're to the left, to the right a little bit. And we got to adjust some stuff. So it had stepper motors and gear, so sometimes they would slip, and you had to watch the thing. So anyways, the people who rented me the garage came to me one day, and they said, "Hey, Dave, we're evicting this power washing company out of there." And it was a big part of the warehouse. And they said, $3,000. They said, "It's yours. You want to take a look over here?" I go over there. The place is trashed. I'm telling you, there's one light working. There's a thick layer of oil on the floor. Somebody was obviously like in there living, like smoking crack. There was candles in there and a sleeping bag. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, this place stinks. Like, I don't know what was going. I can't even describe the smell. But I took a risk because the guy said, "Give us the word and we're a victim." And I said, "Let's move on it." And so,
Dave, was this? I remember. I mean, I don't know how many of y'all follow.
When he drove the forklift to the wall.
Yeah, I don't know how many of y'all follow Dave or on his personal Facebook, but Dave goes through these things where he does, 44 days of whatever you're doing right now. And then I remember when all this was going on, you were doing this thing where you were jogging with weighted vest on uphill in the snow and ice. You do that at like 5 a.m. in the morning. And then at 8 a.m., you're driving forklifts through walls and degreasing floors. And I was like, what is this guy doing? And I'd call you and you're like, I can't talk right now. I got this going on.
Yeah. Actually, what you're talking about when we drove the forklift through the wall, that was actually the fourth company in there that we took over. It was a plastics company, and there was a big wall dividing us from them. And we actually drove through the wall with the forklift, and the guy wasn't even moved out there yet. So we knocked the shelving down in there and all this guy's stuff in there. We're like, oh my God, he's still in here.
It was great. It was all live on Facebook.
So, David, let me. I think I've been hearing this correctly. You started behind the building. You had like a little parking spot, and you said there was a 15,000 square foot building with 4 tenants. And you just said the fourth guy, that's the wall you knocked down.
Yeah.
Yes.
So nobody's there but David now.
Yeah, we got the whole building. And thank goodness for that. So when we got the warehouse, when the power washing company came out, they gave us 2 offices, a break room, and a bathroom, and a large production area. And it also gave us, it was so crazy because that weight room that I was knocked on their door and talked to them, that weight room was in there. And eventually we moved it out, but that's our loading dock now. So, and what's really crazy is I would walk by this building every morning when we just had the back of it, when we just had that little space in the back, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to take this building over. And I envisioned myself taking this building over. Like, nobody was being evicted. None of this stuff was ever talked about. But I said, I'm going to take it over. And the thought was so strong that eventually, I'm not saying it was because of that, but it happened. So that was the second company that left. Now, the third company was a construction company. So they leave out of there, and we take that over and make it a showroom. And then, so just to give you guys an idea what went on there, the renovations, the floor was covered in oil because there was oil burning heating systems in there. We had to scrape all that up, hire companies to come in and pressure wash. Then we had to have the oil burning systems taken out of there, replaced with Modine heaters. My brother-in-law Dennis did. Then we had to have the floors epoxy, the walls painted, the light fixtures changed out for LED light fixtures, the offices tore out, dropped ceilings down, new drop ceilings, paint, LED lights, new floors, and then we had to put stuff in the offices, computers, chairs, printers. And meantime, all I have is my install crews. And they're helping me through this, and we're doing this, and it was a lot of money in renovation and a lot of time, and we're still pumping fence out while this is going on.
Dave, this is the funny thing. Before we got on camera, we were talking a little bit, And Dave, you went from not having a roof over your head to not only being in this building, but you just put a new roof on that building, right?
Yeah.
So,
the whole place is remodeled.
Yeah. So Dave went from not even having a roof over his head to moving into a building, taking the entire thing over, him, the 4 tenants, and putting a roof on his building. I just think that in itself is just, I don't know, man. Your story just is.
That's like the ultimate testimony of what it means to believe. He just kept believing.
Yeah, and a lot of hard work, and the harder you work, the luckier you get.
So look, the construction company moved out. That's now your showroom. I've seen that probably 15 times on Facebook, and I love looking at it because every single time it gets a little bit better, And you know what I like about it, David? I don't mean this any kind of way. You're so humble. You're so special. You're so like. You've been through some shit, man, but you're so like innocent in the way you come across. And he's like, Dan, I have to say this. He's like, look at this free bottle of water we're giving you. Like it's stuff like this that I overlook, as a person, as a business owner. But he's like, look, we have come in here to see this. We got a free bottle of water. We've got a computer set up. Like he doesn't miss any single detail, and because of that, that's why he's freaking winning.
Well, not only that, he's got a stuffed animal dog sitting in the showroom behind the aluminum fence. I was like, it's genius.
And the water fountain. Yeah, which is I got a water fountain in here, and it sounds so cool.
Yeah, we got a pond too. We have a koi fish pond in there. We like the sound of water because it makes people tranquil.
Yeah,
And we painted the warehouse. We use a lot of psychology in the colors.
I believe
because it has a calming effect on people, and honestly, like so. This is what's really crazy is like I didn't even know what I was getting myself into because now we're distributing fence. We're involved in the fabrication process. So now there's this whole different thing going on of systems and processes that we have to figure out. Because when you go and look at a big warehouse like that, if you never set nothing like that up before, that's very intimidating. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to move machinery around twice. You don't have to move this around twice. You got to set it up so it's a nice flow in and out, nice and lean. So we kept building up all these systems and processes and using all this different software. And a lot of the stuff you guys helped me out with and various different people, Brad Jones from OK Vinyl, a lot of people on here would help me out with software. And I mean, we're on the cutting edge of everything.
I love it, man.
I used to look at my competitors and say, what are they doing? Right now, my competitors are wondering, and some of them might even be watching this, but now they're saying, what am I doing? Because we're 10 steps ahead of them. And so what I found out, and for some of the guys watching, because, some of you guys might be still out there in the field working, digging holes, I get that. I've been there. But I got smart and said, you know what? I have to work on my business and not in my business. And so this is where the systems, the processes, and the software came into place because systems and processes equal freedom. So when you have a staff and everybody has a system and a process and it's documented and they know what their job is, you can go away and spend time with your family. You can be growing your business, having meetings, pursuing new things in your business. Like we're building contractor portals now. So our contractors who buy job lots can order right off the portal. We have an e-commerce site that's built, that's ready to be launched. We're getting some stuff worked out with the LTL company, some stuff that we put a lot of work into, but I'm able to do that because my staff does everything efficiently. And I just want to talk about one of the game changers. And my coach really helped me out a lot with this because I didn't want to do it. But one of the game changers is one day I started thinking to myself, I said, you know what? If we had some sort of software that we can go out there and be able to just draw it on a tablet and it can figure out per linear foot what the price is and be able to compute an estimate instantly, I said our closing rate will double. And it'll eliminate all the back end work that was going on in the office. Because my administrator at this point, here was our process. my guys would go out there with a notebook, right, and some of our brochures, and they would meet with the customer. They'd measure it out. They'd sketch it out on paper. The customer would pick out a fence. My estimators would take a picture of it, of the drawing, and send it to the admin. The admin would put it on graph paper, build a proposal, attach it to an email, send the email out to the customer, then follow up. And then if they wanted to pull the trigger, then we'd have to upload that to DocuSign and then send that to them, and then create an invoice and send that. And because DocuSign and Click and Pay, we thought we were on the cutting edge. But I said that there's got to be a way to eliminate this. So I started talking to software developers in India and all over the place. And I'm like, I'm going to build this software, have this built for our company. And it was an astronomical amount of money and time. And just communicating with the Indians and that big communication barrier, and they're in a different time zone. And I gave up on it. And then one day, I forget who put it on here, but I seen ArcSight, and it was exactly what I had envisioned my software being. So I sign up for the ArcSight. I don't know how it's going to go.
Before you do ArcSight, I remember when you signed up with CFS, and you were like, "Bruh, this stuff is amazing. You got to get it. You got to get it." And then like 30 days later, you called me up and you said, "Have you heard of ArcSight? I signed up with them today. I got a demo tomorrow." Something like that. So,
yeah, and so the CFS, okay, so we still use CFS. And what we use CFS for, which is great for, is we use CFS for all of our spec drawings, for our shop drawings, for contractors who say, hey, we need this for our HOA. We need to know the spacing. We need to do the picket length, all this stuff. So we use it for that. I spent months setting up CFS. Like, it was every single day. The staff is great there. They work really hard. It's very bulky to set up. Anybody that's been on it knows that it's very bulky. So CFS does what ArcSight does in a sense. It's a lot harder to set up though. But the drawings, I couldn't get with the drawings on it because the drawings didn't look very accurate. So we need to print the drawing up and give it to our contractor so they could go out there and install the fence. But the drawings, they kind of ran together. So anyways, we get talking to ArcSight, and I talked to the developer, Pat Caldwell, his name was. And I'm telling you, we had ArcSight set up in like 3 meetings. And I said, Pat, this is all I needed to do. I need to give you a per lineal foot for each fence, what a gate cost. I need some variables in there. You know, if there's going to be core drilling, if there's going to be a removal, if there's a bad grade, if this is a far out distance. So we start using this ArcSight, and our sales doubled. And now our guys are going out there, drawing it, giving a customer a proposal right there. The customers are signing the proposal off of ArcSight and paying right off the tablet there. And it eliminated all the back end work. So let me tell you why that was important. Because that freed up our admin and our salesmen now to do more stuff. So which triggered more growth in our company. And so now we got all that back end work. Our sales are closing like crazy. And now, and this is a personal thing for me. I started to realize that we didn't think it was fair to be competing against the contractors that we were selling fence to, because the business model in our area is like this. People buy fence off of another fence company, but that fence company is also competing against them. And so what can happen is that fence company that supplies them could end up lowering their price and shutting them out, because what they pay for fence is not what the average contractor pays for fence, you know, because they're buying $1 million, $250,000 at a time and stocking it in their yard, and lineals, and they got CNC machines and all this other stuff. So I started to walk that tightrope. And so I said, you know what? None of these guys are out here just selling fence. I said, so we're going to be the guy like, hey, why buy off your competitors when you could buy off of us? We're here to help you grow your business. And so now all that energy that we were putting into all those moving parts for the installation, everybody on here knows, dealing with the customer, the estimate, chasing them down for their money, the property disputes, the zoning disputes, the customer callbacks. There's a windstorm and trees are coming down. So we're going to take all that energy now and put it strictly into our customer service for supplying our contractors. And by that, now in-house jobs won't take precedence to them because we don't have any in-house installation. So all the material is for our customers. And so now we're still using ArcSite, and we're still using My Salesman, but we found out ways to use it in a different capacity. Mm-hmm. So now we broke it down to where a customer can draw, like on My Salesman for our e-commerce site, a customer can draw on there, pick a style of fence out and select their gates, and we have it down to a science on what it's going to cost the customer for that material. Then we can see that the customer was on there, because if they didn't follow up and put it in the shopping cart, we know to call them and follow up and say, hey, do you have any questions about the material? Did you need help with your layout? And the same thing with ArcSite. So now for our local DIY, homeowners that want to do it themselves, we can go out there with the ArcSite and draw it right in the tablet, and we have our parameters reset in there, just like My Salesman. So now it tells them the exact cost of what their materials are going to cost to have a DIY fence delivered to their house for them to install. With the concrete, we got variables in there for delivery and stuff like that. So we'll be able to bring these tools to our customer to help close sales out. But yeah, we're on track to double our business from last year. This will be our third year in a row breaking $1 million in sales, and we're just really, really just super blessed. Coming from the cemetery to where I'm at now, living in my dream home. I have 4 beautiful kids. I have 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 5-year-old, 3 daughters, and 1 boy, 7-year-old boy. And I'm just so thankful every day to have the team that I have and to have the ability to run a company the way that we are. It's just amazing.
I don't know what to say, man. How do you follow up?
David freaking Gatto. Thank you, David.
How the hell do you follow up after that,
man? Dave, all right, so let me ask you. I got some questions. How about that? 2014 to 2018. Now here we are, 2022. At what point did you decide that, you know what? I ain't raking leaves or shoveling mulch. Was that after that first vinyl fence? Like, when did you say, hey, I'm a fence guy?
You know what? It was after that first fence that I sold, and I seen the money, that there was money potential in it. And then I also knew that as long as I follow some simple rules, I can do any kind of fence. As long as I keep it to the string line, keep it straight, And so every time there was a new fence that we never did, like a horizontal fence or a chain link fence or a wrought iron fence, there'd be a learning curve where it was slow, the first one. But then we started making money off of them. But as long as I followed those basic concepts, I knew that I can build a company around fence. And I just followed a few simple core values. Mm-hmm. And one of them was always fix the problem, no matter what the cost is. So if there's a callback, even if you can't fix it, go back and try to fix it. Mm-hmm. So I stuck with a couple core values, and it built my reputation up and built my word of mouth up. And for the first couple of years, I was all over the place. Like I would clean your gutters and put a fence in. I would put your fence in and then dig some stuff out to put some drainage for your gutters in, or whatever the case might be. Put a French drain in around your house. And then I said to myself, I said, you know what? People don't like that. People don't like the jack of all trades. So I said, I have to specialize in one thing and let people know I'm a specialist. So if they wanted us to do anything else, cut trees down, anything that was out of the realm of fencing, I said no. And this way I let them know, listen, we're experts in fencing. That's what we do.
David, there's a lot of people in these. Go ahead, Dan.
No, sound like he's got it figured out, man.
There's a whole lot of.
I'm glad you're not a gutter guy. I'm glad you decided to take on fencing because you've been an inspiration to me, you know.
I appreciate that, and likewise, Dan. There's a lot of people on here that helped me through the process because, you know, sometimes you can't just blast a question out there because sometimes your competitors are on here and it could hurt you. And I've been through that scenario where they found out I was buying off of different suppliers and I was cut off and all that stuff. But people that I go to personally in their inboxes and say, hey, can you help? Brad from OK Vinyl, Brad Jones, Rachel Graham Krause. These are people that I talk to, the guys at ArcSite. I talk to you guys, and I know that, like, hey, that you guys are in it to help other people out and not harm them because not everybody needs to hear everything.
No, you're right. You're right. Hey, there's things Cannon and I don't talk about.
Yeah,
until
sometimes
we clear them out, see if it's going to work for us, and so we can be ahead of the curve. I mean, it's just business, man.
So Dan, let's talk about this David guy, man. He's out here knocking on doors in 2014, talking about, hey, this is my list of skills. I can pretty basic stuff too. I can rake your leaves. I can clean your gutters. I can show mulch. You know, like David, you have to find it hard to accept somebody who gives up. You're just like such an overcomer. Like when somebody's like, oh, we can't do that. How does that sit with you when somebody says, hey boss, we can't get this done? Like that has to like be like, no, that's not an answer. Like, how does David handle that?
Yeah, man. Well, you know, I had some experiences in my life where that changed my life, where I was told by everybody that it couldn't be done and it was impossible. And I went ahead and did it. And when I did that, it opened up some kind of door for me in my mind. And I was like, don't worry about, that's what they were taught, that they couldn't do it. That's what they learned subconsciously, maybe from overhearing their parents say in the background that money was hard to make or this was impossible. So I was able to experience that stuff, you know, and know, like, listen, I'm going to try it 15 different ways until I could do it. And there's a million stories out there just like that. You know, Thomas Edison, you know, how many shots at the light bulb did he have before that worked? You know, stuff like that on there. So when people say it, you know, the limitations are all here. This is the battlefield, the 6-inch battlefield. Right here, your mind. Your mind is what it's a lot of it is fear driven. And so, you know, you just can't believe it because, you know what, honestly, Cannon, when I started knocking those doors, I almost didn't knock those doors because when you go out there and you're going to knock on a door, it becomes very real. Like the fear starts kicking in, the fear of rejection. They're going to tell me, don't solicitate at my doorstep. Get out of here. They're going to tell me no, don't come back. You know, and I almost didn't knock. And the first few doors I knocked on out there, I was met just like that. People were open up the doors, not interested. Bang. Upstairs in the window going, we're okay. See ya. And then somebody said, yeah. How much? And I had to come up with a number. And so, you know, and then I fed off that. And then I started feeding off the people that were like, you know, get the F off my doorstep. And I'd say, okay. And then I go knock on a neighbor and say, hey, your neighbor over there told me that you're going to be able to help me out. And they say, oh, did he? Yeah. I actually said that you might need your gutters cleaned. You know, and I started using it. And eventually, when you make up a decision, I think in Greek, the word decision means to cut away from. So when you make a decision, you're saying that there is no turning back. And that's the decision that I made. So when I said I'm going to start my own business, it was do or die for me. You know, there was no like, hey, maybe I could go back and get a 9-to-5. No, I don't know what happened inside of me, but something broke. And I said, you know, I'm not ever going back to that life. And I'm so glad that I did it because through my business, I met my wife. You know, I had these kids. I bought this beautiful home. Like my whole entire life changed because of my perseverance. If I gave up on my business, none of this stuff that is all the good stuff in my life would even be happening right now. And I'd just be some bum working a 9-to-5, sweeping a warehouse floor at the tire plant, you know, making $12 an hour, you know?
David, are you seeing these notes here, man? Everybody's saying the same exact thing. Great story, great inspiration. This is one of the guys that works here. Says, Dave, you're definitely one of the best guests I've listened to yet. Love your drive, brother. Yeah. Look, I told Dan multiple times today. I think Dan and we talked on the phone probably 3 or 4 times today, and each time I told him, I'm like, Dan, I'm freaking pumped about David Gatto coming and talking with us. And I told him more than once, like, hey, I don't think I'm gonna have anything to say. I'm just gonna listen to him, you know. But I've got my own questions, and I want to see what any of the commenters might have. But Dan, one thing I want to know from David is this: what do you think about communication within your team? What are you doing, David, to drive? Most businesses, the things that I hear, the biggest weakness, and I would say that's probably true here at Jackson Fence Company, is the biggest weakness is probably communication across the team. You know,
that's a great question, man.
Yes. So how does David? Yeah, how does David handle that?
Yeah, so this is important because you need to have your finger on the pulse of the company. You need to know what's going on with your employees, how they're feeling, and you know, because we went through a lot of that, and there was a really big turnover rate. You know, people were coming in, people were going. I had times where I lost most of my staff, and I got so sick and tired of losing people. And most of the guys can relate on here. You know, you put all this money in the training this guy, and next thing you know, he doesn't show up to work, or he's getting high, he's drunk, he goes to jail, they steal from you, all that stuff. So we made it. We approached it differently with our staff this time. And first off, we did a really thorough hiring process. You know, background checks, urine tests, checked the references. Made him take a disc assessment. So we developed a hiring process where we had to follow they had to meet certain criteria to come on. And then you got to communicate your staff. Okay. So one thing that we did is we started having a 15-minute meeting every single day in our office with all of our staff. And it wasn't like a meeting like, hey, Cannon, you got to do this today. And Dan, you got to do that. But it was a meeting of, hey, what's going on in your life? Like, it was personal. Like, what's going on with your personal goals? Hey, Dustin, how's things going with your kids? Or, you know, Dan, how you doing with your driver's license? You know, and stuff like that. And communicating with my staff like that made an openness, you know, because one of the questions that I always ask in my meeting is like, hey, is there anything that, you know, you guys would like to talk about that's not being talked about that we need to get with, you know? And that was the time, like, if people are having problems, because, you know, you got to maintain communication, because when you're growing rapidly like this and you're implementing all these processes, you can only implement so many processes so fast before people start to get frustrated. You know, so you got to implement them slowly, and you got to communicate what you're doing because it makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Because you see the vision, you're trying to communicate the vision to them, but they don't see why. Why do we got to go paperless now? Why do we got to do this? You know, we tripled our sales this year, Dave. Why are we changing it? No, we tripled our sales because of the changes that we're making. You know, and so it's just really important to communicate. And some more ways that we communicate is through the software. We stay connected through the software, whether it be ArcSight, My Salesman, or Asana. Asana is a big one that integrates Calendly, where we can put messages up on the board and people can respond to them. You know, and you can assign tasks to certain people. So, yeah, so we found a lot of ways to communicate, mainly through software and through meetings.
Yeah, and software is a big thing for us too, because here we are, you know, Dylan, I work from home right now, which we're moving into our new offices next week. Amen to that. I can't wait. But Kirsten works from home. Dylan works from home, sometimes comes here. My salesman's out on the road. So, you know, we use the Crew app right now to communicate so we can keep up with everything, you know. So software is huge. I mean, I talked to a guy in my inbox yesterday. He's running a $4 million a year company, no software. I said, I just like the old paper and pencil. I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm not running a $4 million company. I don't know how I can do it.
Look,
I don't know how I can do what I did now with a pen and pencil.
But that's called being comfortable. And David doesn't come from a place.
Yeah. David doesn't look like a guy who gets comfortable.
So it's perspective, David, what would you say? There's been several people here tonight that's already commented, and you're not. There's other people in our industry that have a similar background, a similar story. And you're an inspiration to me, but like you're kind of leading this crusade, man. I don't know if I have a question around that, but like you're an example, man, and I appreciate what you're doing. I really mean that. I'm not just saying it. And I've learned a lot just sitting here listening to you. Usually I don't get the chance to just shut up and end it, but I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed it.
So have I.
I warned you, man. Didn't I tell you? I said, hey, I just want to let you know. Dave's a talker. I don't know if we're going to get a whole lot of words in. Just let him roll.
Man, I can't help but sit here and like kind of. I feel like I'm going to turn this off here in a minute. I'm just going to do a lot of self-reflection. Like, damn it, Cannon, what are you thinking, dude? Like, I've learned in the past 60 minutes, and I am a micromanager because I was out helping dig holes a day. I don't need to do that, but I'm out there like, hey, you guys never done the fence this big and this far away? Let me come help you and show you how to do it. You know what I mean?
I'm constantly on his ass about that too. Like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You need to stop that.
Yeah. And you know what? You make the change when the pain gets great enough. And, you're like, I'm not dealing with this no more. Like, this hurts. This is, once you realize that stuff like that is holding your company back. And, I coach a lot of people on an individual basis, and I have coaching coaches that coach me. And some of these guys, like, I got to bring myself back to where they're at and understand, because I try to pound this stuff into them. Like, you ought to hire some guys. You're stunting the growth of your company by being out there. You got to register your LLC. You got to get insurance. You got to start doing things on 3-parted carbon copies where the customer loses a copy or you lose a copy. And I want to yell at them and just shake them and say, wake up. But I got to remember, like, listen, I was where they're at, and there was a process to learning, and you make the changes when the pain becomes great enough. And you say, I got to do something about that. So that's where your systems and processes come in. And then, you start realizing, like Dan said, like, I see the guys on here all the time. They're old school. They use pen and paper. They're like pen and paper, and they're proud of that. And I get that. But I'm like, man, you don't know what you're missing with the software. You do not know what you're missing and what it could do for your company, and then in turn, what it could do for your family, and how you can benefit your company by paying them more and giving them benefits. Like, we have paid vacations, Christmas bonuses, staff parties, dental, vision, all kinds of benefits, because we're implementing stuff to make our company more profitable.
Yeah, I think Ken and him and I have talked about this in the past. He just truly loves fencing, man. And I remember that. I remember when I finished the job and I drove off, it's like, man, I feel like I accomplished something great today. And not only did I accomplish it, I'm going to drive by here tomorrow and it's still there. And it's still affecting this neighborhood. And that curb appeal is affecting everyone that drives by it. And Cannon's he's still young in it. And he just loves that. And I love it too. But at some point I had to let it go. And when I let it go, I really, really, really started working on my business.
Look, I love fencing, and we always talk about working on the business, but we have to remember, like, to be fair, I spend a lot of time right here in this office, but to be fair, our business is building fence. And so when I'm out helping my guys build fence, like, that is also, in fact, working on the business. And that's my opinion. That's my belief. Like, at the end of the day, we're a fence company. Yeah, we're a fence company. That's what we deliver. And we need to know how to do that well, And I live there, but I will say at the same time, some days it's hard to go out and build fence, and I got a crap ton of stuff to do, and I'm the worst. I will go out and build fence, but I won't negate what I got to do. I will just work late. I'll work a double. You know what I'm saying? And I will say this: when I go out and build fence, today I built fence today. I built fence yesterday. Those are honestly some of my happiest, best days. You know, and we all have different skills. We all have different things that we bring to the table. You know. I'm not going to say I'm God's gift to building fence, you know, but I enjoy it. And for me, the couple of days a month, 3 days a month, I do go out and build fence. Those are honestly some of the 3 best days of my month. I enjoy being out in the sunlight. I enjoy breathing God's fresh air. I enjoy coming home dirty and tired. I enjoy it, you know.
Man, that video you made driving post, you were like a kid in a candy store, man.
And you can't. You can't make a good TikTok from the office. You got to get out. People want to see the post being cut. People want to see the concrete being mixed. Yeah. People want to see that stuff, you know. So you can't do that from the office.
No. And I hear you, man. Like, I loved putting fencing out there. I was out there getting a tan. We were drinking gallons of water. The weather was good. We used to bring a portable grill with us and cook burgers and chicken on it. And life was easy. I also had to worry about is that the hole was 34 inches in the ground and that we had it close-ish. Every once in a while, we have to move a rock around. Life was simple. Then I came to the realization that, yeah, Dave, you love building fence, but are you most valuable building fence? Is this where you're most valuable? And I had to step out of that and get into other parts of the company. So I definitely hear where you're at, Cannon, and I loved it. My life was really simple then. Now my business life, my professional life gets very complicated now. But let me tell you the difference. The difference is I'm not working overtime. The difference is when I come home at the end of the day, I come home early, my phone goes off, and I'm a full-time father. The difference is I can go on a 2-month vacation with my family and know that everything's operating perfectly fine at my warehouse. The difference is I'm able to pay my staff more because of some of the changes that I make. You know, so I don't miss a soccer game. I don't miss a football game. That's the difference from me working in the field, because Cannon, I was nuts. I was out there at night with spotlights. We were shut down by the state police for a breaking noise ordinance. I was out there before the sun came up. I was out there on holidays, you know, so I get that. But eventually I came to the realization and said, you know what, Dave, this ain't what it is for you no more. You know, it ran its course. I did that for many years. I put in many, many fences. And I took pride in my work. I had to look down that line and see only one post. You know, so I was so meticulous. I was always checking the string line to make sure a blade of grass didn't knock it off, or that a post wasn't leaning against it somewhere and pushing it out. I tell the guys, if that's that you got to rip that out of the ground. We got to put it back in. Come on, let's get it. You know, so I hear where you're at, man. I relate.
Dave's all over, man.
The what, Dan?
I said, Dave, man, I just love it, man. I love talking to this guy. Yeah. Whenever I see his name pop up on my phone, I'm like, all right, I got to take this call, because I know there's like a bomb of energy on the other side. Great stuff. Great stuff.
I'll tell you what's great is all these comments, because I'm reading all these comments on the side now that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
And I see the people that are getting motivated in there. And you know what? I don't do this for publicity. I share my story to help other people, because there was a time where I wouldn't share my whole story. I would leave the part out about the drugs, the alcohol, the prison, the cemetery. But then I found out that's what makes the story powerful. Mm-hmm. To show people where you were and that you can start a business from nothing, from an idea. And if you got the will and the drive, you could go out there and do it. So I just want to end with telling everybody out there, I want to give them hope. Tell them just keep pushing. There's going to be days you want to give up, that you just want to go back and work for somebody else. There's going to be days that you have to sell your tools to buy more material to keep the next job going, or you don't know how you're going to get the next job, or you're at the end of your rope with Sally, or we'll call her Karen, who keeps calling because she thinks she sees a light through the fence on a windy day, or when she's at a 45-degree angle at 12 o'clock, it looks a slightly different. And somebody needs to get back out here now. I wouldn't want to make a bad review. You'd be at the end of the rope and you just want to throw in the towel. You know what? When it gets like that, I just go to sleep. That's my thing. I just go to sleep and say, when I wake up, it's going to be better. And I just want to tell anybody out there that's going through that to keep pushing. Keep pushing out there. Anybody out there listening, keep pushing.
Looking at the fence at a 45-degree at high noon, I see light. Man,
I think it looks a little bit different color on this side than and you're like, oh my God. And then they're calling you 4 or 5 more times. And as a business owner, things will happen, and you want to blame somebody for it and say that was those idiots that were out there, but you can't blame nobody. As a business owner, you got to learn to take full responsibility for everything that happens in your company. So when the shit starts rolling, it's coming to you, and you got to humble yourself and say, you know what, I could have maybe communicated a little bit better. Could have had a little bit more control over the situation. So there's a lot of humbling stuff. But yeah, everybody, I don't want to rattle your guys' ears off. I know my kids are probably going to sleep. So I just want to, wish everybody out there the best luck. And if anybody ever wants to inbox me anything, any type of questions, or just need somebody to talk to, I'm out there. If you need help in your business, I love helping people.
Wow. David, thank you so much. Dan, I guess we're going to have a little recap after David leaves. Is that right?
Yeah. David, get to your kids, man.
And this time.
David, thank you.
Hey, God bless
you, man. Thanks for being on. Really appreciate it, man. Really do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had a quick question. Oh, that's my mom on there. Hey, Mom. That's my mom, Patty Mackin, on there. She's always been in my corner, no matter what. I love you, Mom. So will I be able to listen to this again later?
100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll get the details.
It'll be on the My Fence Life Facebook page.
Forever.
We'll get it up on YouTube and all the podcasts next week or so.
Yeah, once we log out of here in the next 10 minutes, I say usually wait 3 minutes while it's like rendering or whatever. And what is it? It's almost 8 o'clock for me, almost 9 for you. I say by 9:15, you go to My Fence Life, the Facebook page, and you can replay the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
There's my wife Holly on there. I love you, baby.
Oh, hey, okay.
I'm coming upstairs.
That's the inspiration.
All right, guys, I'm out.
Yeah,
thanks, David. Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Woo! Wow.
Huh?
Wow.
I told you, man, you aren't going to get a word in.
Oh.
Dave is just a fountain of just inspiration and information. And I'm telling you, man. When I first met Dave, 3 years ago, I guess it was, he was, man, talking to him was, I needed a drink after I talked to him.
Yeah.
He's calmed down.
Dave,
he was everywhere.
He is 1,000,000 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So, Dan, what are you taking away from this? What did you learn? What do you think? How do you feel?
Well, I mean, I'm obviously inspired by Dave's story, but when I look at it from a business point of view, I mean, it boils down to hard work. How bad do you want it? Taking leaps of faith, if you want to say faith, taking that risk, and I said that during the show, risk was everything, man. I mean, I was talking to my guy, Terry. Terry's been with me a long time, man. Him and I get along really well. And he went by the new office today. He hadn't seen the new office. He's like, man, I want to see it, and really nobody's seen it. So I was like, yeah, go on up there. Give me a shout when you get up there. So he FaceTimes me and he's like, man, I remember when we were working at your kitchen table, parking a truck and trailer on a gravel spot that I was renting from a mini storage. And we rented a mini storage. And like, yeah, we're making it. We're going somewhere. Now we've got 7 offices. a yard, trucks, buildings, forklifts. He's just like, man, I can't wait to see where we're going from here, and every step of the way has been fear. I mean, I remember the first time I ordered my first truckload of material, I was just in awe. I couldn't stop, telling Pepper, yeah, I ordered my first truck. Yeah, man, we did it. Now we're ordering 2 and 3 18-wheels at a time. But every step of the way has just been risk after risk after risk. But on the flip side, Dave's had, like you heard him, he said he's had coaches and people he trusts and people that he talks to, and it's the same with me and same with you. I don't make moves like that unless I talk to my financial team, my guys who, have my best interest, and other businessmen, and all that matters. I mean, this place that we're moving into, I got the lease and I gave it to my guys and they scribbled all over it and sent it back and said, you need to change this. Well, Dan's not signing this. And the lady was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm not signing unless you change this, this, and this. And the lady goes, I've been leasing buildings for 30 years. And I've never had anybody send my lease back. I'm like, what? First time of everything. But that's having the right people in your corner. And Dave,
100, yeah.
Obviously, besides his drive and his will to, hey, I'm going to make it and, pick myself up by my bootstraps and do something with my life, he's had some people in his corner, and that's important. That's real important. And I remember when you told me, hey, man, I think this guy, Sean King, I think I'm going to hit him up and see if he can help me with my business. Nothing wrong with that. That's how we all move forward and conquer those risks. So, anyway.
What an hour, Dan.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know I was a micromanager, but I think David summed it up pretty damn well. Cannon's a micromanager.
I didn't want you to feel like I was picking on you, but I was just pointing out,
But a guy that talks like him, it's hard to not believe him. You know what I mean? Like if David says, hey, you going out there and doing this with them, for them, whatever, makes you a micromanager. I'm like, well, maybe I am, But I learned.
So I've got. Go ahead.
Look, I'm like everybody here that's watched tonight. I'm freaking inspired. I'm freaking motivated. Talking to David Gatto makes me feel lazier. You know what I mean? Like he's not stopping. He's not slowing down. There's nothing mellow about him. I'm kind of a mellow guy. David's just like, you can just tell his brain is turning fast, And what I really like though is how he really reminds me of another guy, Matt Warner. When I think about
yes, Matt's very inspiring,
very wide open, very. Let me tell you about my team and my people, and that's just kind of how. That's kind of how David made me feel as well. I don't know, man. I'm freaking pumped, and I think everybody that watched tonight is feeling kind of the same way. What a freaking hour, But one thing I'm doing, man, and I want to share this with everybody. We've learned a lot over the past hour. David talked about believing in his team, not being a micromanager, and he also talked about benefits this evening. He talked about his Christmas bonuses, his paid time off, his sick time. He talked about that kind of stuff tonight, and I had a guy sit in my office today, and we talked about the same thing. We talked about benefits. We talked about the lack of benefits, and I told this guy that works here, who I love. I said, "Look, man, I don't know." I said, "Hey, you're not wrong. I give people vacation time and I give people sick time. But there's not a written plan. There's not a written policy. There's not a accruement. You can't just look at your pay stub and like, oh, okay. I've got 24 hours of vacation time left, or I've got 20 hours of sick time. You can't just tell that. I've never put a plan in place, you know? And so I told you.
Yeah, I haven't.
Well, I told the guy this morning, he was bringing it to me, and I love him so much, and I trust him so much. I said, you know what we need to do? And listening to David, and all I could think about was the same conversation, and that, hey, look, this is the right way to handle this. I said, look, we need to make a committee, a benefits committee. And I need you to head that committee up. You know, I need you to tell me what that benefit package should look like, what the vacation time should look like. When do you get it? You know, when do you not get it? What does sick time look like? How much of it is it? When do you start having it? You know, we had that conversation this morning, and just listening to David talking about his people and talking about trusting people, talking about not micromanaging, and then talking about his personal benefits made me think, hey, man, that's the right move. And I'm excited about that, you know. What we got here?
Yeah, you know, Dave's the kind of guy, man, when I see myself in him a lot. You know, I've told you this before. Once I get my mind set, that's it. It's over with. Whatever I got my mind set on, we're conquering and we're going to make it happen. So I'm talking to Dave the other day, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing this. And he was headed to go buy some suits. And he's like, "Dad, I got to look the part." And I'm in the gym in the morning. I'm working out. I got businessmen coming in, bankers coming in, and I got chalk on my hands from the gym. I'm in cut-off shorts and, you know, a T-shirt because I'm running around the production floor. So this dude goes out, and sure enough, that night I see him on Facebook Live. He got a shirt and tie on.
Yep.
You know, wasted no time. Went out, got him some suits. It's like I got to look the part, man. I'm elevating. So. That's just to show you the kind of guy that he is. He sees something and he's like, "Hey, I got to change it," and he doesn't waste any time, man. He changes it. Boom. You know, and I'm sure, being from where he came from and the jobs that he worked, he realized benefits are important. You know, and you know, I have perks for my guys. I don't have a full-fledged plan like you said, but it's on my plan to make it happen. We just haven't reached that portion yet. Even though, you know, Zach will be like, "Hey, I'm going to take a week off." I end up paying him. Terry's like, "Hey, I'm going to take Friday and Monday off. I got a bowling tournament." I pay him. But he doesn't know he's getting paid. And there's a difference there.
Yeah, you don't have that piece of knowing what you can and can't do.
Yeah, you know, Terry hurt his back this week and he's like, "Boss, I'm not worth anything." I said, "Look, man, I'll pay you. Just get out there, just keep the guys working. You know, you got a guy in the crew that's pretty much ready to run a crew. Can you do that for me?" Yeah. I paid him pretty much to sit on a bucket, make sure, supervise the job.
Yeah.
You know, but those guys want to see it. They want to see it in paper. Sean's got a book, employee handbook, and all that's spelled out in it. You know, Josh Glover, same way. And I think I need to put that closer to the top of my list of tasks.
Everybody wants to know. They want to know what happens tomorrow, what happens tonight. We just want to know. It's human nature. Hey, so a couple of quotes that David gave us that I wrote down. You believe that? I wrote down some quotes. He said, David says, "Systems and processes equal freedom."
Amen.
And then he said, "You will make the change when the pain is great enough." Make the change when the pain is great enough.
I can contest to that. Just on this office situation, on us getting our offices.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be straight up with you, man. You want to know why we got offices? Because I got tired of hearing my old lady bitch. I'm just telling you. I got tired of my guys going, "Hey, we can't make phone calls because somebody's on the phone and I can't make a phone call." You know, Pepper going, "I'm sick today, and I got you in there on the phone. I got Dylan coming in, and I can't even hang out on my couch in my robe and watch TV." And it started hurting. So I was like, "You know what? Fine. You know, we'll get some officers." I called a friend of mine that was a real estate agent and said, find me some offices.
That's right.
And that's what pushed me because it started hurting. So yeah, man, when things start hurting, you start making changes. Yeah, good show, bro.
Hey, man, great idea to have David Gatto here. Next week, I think we need to have David Gatto back. I think everybody will be happy with that. I would be happy with that. But I think next week, who'd you say we have lined up, Dan?
Well, I don't have anybody lined up.
Oh, great. David Gatto it is. Thank you.
I haven't called him yet. I don't know if he's listening right now, but we're gonna call a guy that a lot of y'all know in the fence industry, and if you don't know him, you need to know him. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's a good guy. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't know if he can do it, but I need to give him a shout. But I can't tell you who's going to be the week after that.
Who is this?
I don't know if I'm going to say his last name right. Brian Frederickson?
Las Vegas.
Fredericks?
Mr. Las Vegas.
Yeah, we'll just say Las Vegas Fence. We're going to have Las Vegas Fence in here, Mr. Brian.
We know you got the T-shirt. That guy.
Yeah. With the Fence Workers Association. Talked with him today. Man, he's doing some really awesome stuff. This portal he's building of nothing but fence guys is pretty amazing. I logged on to it today, and he said he's got 90 days before he gets this thing right.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a talk with him today. I was like, hey, man, get your ducks in a row. Give you a couple of weeks. Let's start laying the foundation for this new Fence Workers Association. I think it's fenceworkers.org.
Yeah.
And he's got an Android app is already up and running. He's waiting on the Apple app, the iOS app to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be really, really great for the fence industry. And he flat out said, look, man, I'm not competing with WASA or the NFACA or what I can't say it. I don't know.
NAFCA.
AFA.
Yeah.
He said, everybody's got their place, and I'm just trying to have my place in it too, and we all need to be working together. And I really liked the way he was humble about that. I'm excited to see what Brian's going to do with this. He's diving in, man. He really is. So 2 weeks from now, we'll have Brian from Las Vegas Fence. Next week, I'm not quite sure yet. I'm going to get with the guy. It's probably too late to text him. I don't know what time zone he's in, but it's going to be a good show.
We got Trev and Chris Steele.
You hear these guys?
They've been hanging out together.
You guys have been hanging out, huh?
Yeah, Trev, hey, man, go back and watch the show. David Gatto was here. He's gone now. It was freaking incredible. Yeah. Everybody loved it. Chris Steele, hey, dude, I gave you a shout-out at the beginning, and I'll give it now. Chris Steele, High Steel Fence, Pace, Florida, crawfish boil. What did I say? April the 23rd? Is that right, Dan?
April 23rd.
April 23rd, Pace, Florida, open house, crawfish boil. Check out Chris Steele. Last year we had the Fence Olympics. This year, it's no Olympics going on. There's no competition going on, but there will be some fence training to partake in. So fence training, crawfish, and cold beer. I guarantee it. It's going to be a great time, rain or shine. I can testify to that.
All right, man. Look, it's getting late. I got to go, bro.
All right, see you,
It's been a long day.
Yes.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Peace.
Y'all keep on fencing.